All right, ladies, it is here. It is your Forever Fat Loss mini course. I have been working on this for the last few months, and I've been putting together all of the pieces that I work with my clients when I coach them on how do we start breaking up with diets and meal plans and really start listening to our bodies and honoring where we are. Now, I know right now you're like, what the hell does all of that mean? Here's what I know. That so many of us start a diet with the intention that we are going to finish this and this is going to be our forever plan. Then life happens, something happens, we trip, we stumble, and we're off seeking another plan. Now, if you're like, yeah, that sounds like me, keep listening up, right? This course, the Forever Fat Loss course, this is your stick to it forever healthy plan. So let's think about it like this. You can continue to have an effed up relationship with your food and your body, chasing your tail, trying to string together that 30-day challenge, that 30-day cleanse, always feeling hungry, always going on to social media and asking, how'd you lose the weight? How'd this happen for you? But you do it, and then you're still left trying to wonder, am I have to be perfect to get results? I wish I could feel freer in my body, and is this the last diet that I'll ever do? If you are done asking yourself these same tired questions, this is the course you need to grab. Over the course of 5 mini courses, I will break down the simple but important strategies to help you finally find those lasting results. So all you got to do is go to the link in the show notes and grab it. And over the course of 5 days, I will break down simple, easy things for you to do repeatedly so that you have a realistic, sustainable plan that you are excited about and will continue for your life. Sounds like a plan? Grab the link in my show notes. Welcome to the Fit Girl Magic podcast. If you are ready to find your inner magic, develop great habits, and a rock steady mindset to feel confident, comfortable, and fit in your body, you are in the right place. I am Kim Barnes Jefferson, and I'll be giving you weekly doses of health, fitness, and life tips sprinkled with humor and real talk. If you're ready to be consistent without the stress of perfection, magic makers, it's time to slip into your favorite pair of PJs, grab some coffee, kick back, and listen to today's show. All right, today's iTunes review of the week is brought to you by C. Hayes 77. I am so happy to have found this podcast. I look forward to listening to the new episode every week. I just finished the latest episode on lifting weights and loved it. I listened to it 3 times because it's so informative. I feel like I have a trainer in my ear when I listened and a friend to chat with, along with the things I love. Fitness. Thank you so much, C. Hayes. That just fills my heart so full. So anyone else has a review, please absolutely share it with me. I love this and I appreciate every single review that I get. It just melts my heart that I am sharing the information that is going to be helpful for you to make sure that health and fitness is easy for you. All right, magic makers. Today I want to talk about something that is, I always get the question. And so I thought, you know what, now is the time to do it. And over the next 3 solo shows that I do, I'm going to be talking about what are the ways I help clients? How do I best serve clients? And what are my strengths? And so my strengths are working with you to create consistency, accountability, and coming up with a strategy. And so today I wanted to talk about consistency because I feel like consistency is what eludes so many of you. We all want to come out of the gate like rock stars and crushing it and doing all the things. But unfortunately, that's not how it works, right? You don't come out crushing it. You might crush it for a week, maybe a few weeks, hell, a month. But then life comes and trips you up and you're stumbling, and some of you take it as it's a sign. See, not supposed to do this, not supposed to happen for me this way. And you don't get back up on said horse. So let's go back before we go forward. And just let's just define what is consistency when it comes to your health and your fitness. When your health and your fitness. And it's something that you can do daily, right? I talk about consistency in my Fit Girl Magic formula. In my Fit Girl Magic formula, it is that we have great habits. Those habits lead to routines. Those routines lead to consistency, and those consistency leads to results. So many of us think that it's a 30-day juice cleanse, a 30-day that, a 12-week this, and so on and so forth. And then I can go back to my life and I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to stay that way. No. I wish, make my job a whole heck of a lot easier. So whenever people come to me, I'm like, the first place we got to start is we got to start with what I call your reps. And the reps formula is where you could run anything through this. And as soon as you hit a snag, that is your talking point. That's where you're like, oh crap, I might hit a snag here. So what is that? It's realistic. The first piece is I say, is this realistic? Given everything's going on in my life, is this path that I'm choosing for consistency, is it realistic? Am I excited about it? Am I doing it because I went to a party and Sally told me she lost 400 pounds doing, eating white fish and standing on her head? Can I make a plan for it in my life? Is this a busy season for me in my life? And what I'm choosing does require a lot of moving parts that are just probably tough for me, given that the season of life that I'm in. And is it sustainable? At the end of the day, can you say, look at yourself like, in the next 30 years, I could see myself doing this versus the next 30 minutes doing this. This forces, when I ask my clients to go through those 4 questions, it forces us to make a decision. And many of you say, well, I need motivation. Well, I'm always going to be the first person to tell you, motivation is not going to ring your doorbell and be like, hey girl, let's do this. I wish, because sometimes I need that, but it's not going to happen. So I have to make a decision about what I want, right? I have to get so clear that I want to lose the weight. I got to get so clear that, yes, I want to lose weight, but here's the steps. And here are the repeatable steps that I can take over and over and over again, no matter what the heck is going on in my life. There comes consistency, right? It is what I can do on a regular basis, not balls to the wall, not as hard as I can, not struggling, not white knuckling, not giving myself a whole litany of, if this doesn't happen and that doesn't happen, guess what? All that if stuff ain't going to happen. Every time you say, if blah, blah, blah doesn't happen, guess what? Blah, blah, blah is going to ring your doorbell and be like, hey, I'm here to throw a wrench into your party. So how do we get consistent? Again, I'm going to repeat this. I have to set realistic expectation. So many of us say, here I'm recording this on a Sunday. And so we all know Magic Mondays. Monday is a day that I'm going to reboot everything and my life is just going to be perfect this week. Yeah, you've been there too, right? Okay. So we have to accept that mistakes and setbacks are going to happen, right? We put so much emphasis on the plan. This is my plan and it has to work perfectly and my life's going to be perfect, blah, blah, blah. Well, perfect is not happening. Perfect sucks because everybody has a week that throws them for a loop. And so we have to plan for those loop weeks, because when we don't plan for those loop weeks, we get pissed. We get frustrated. We're kicking the wall. We're using salty language. And we're like, see, it's a sign. So you have to say that there are going to be setbacks. And you have to say that, what are my realistic expectations? And, for a lot of times, a lot of my clients will be like, when I ask them, hey, how many times a week can you work out? They'll be like, oh, every day. And I'm like, okay, so you have kids? Do those kids go to school? Do those kids get sick? Well, yeah. And then I'm like, okay, what about, do you have a family? A spouse, a partner, whatever you.
Well, yeah. I'm like, okay, so will they be around to help you with your kids, or will they be able to give you the support that you need? And you're like, well, and right. So it's like, as we start to really like open up our lives, every day somehow falls apart. Or if you choose every day, you can do every day for a set amount of time. Then it's like vacation. You go on a work trip, you get sick, right? Those are the times when I'm like, I'm planning for the worst case scenario, the obstacles, so that we can start to navigate, so that we can have a plan B, right? If this doesn't happen, then I got this on the side. And that plan B is already fired in my brain, where I'm not trying to scramble on the fly for this plan B. And realistic expectations keep us from getting discouraged and falling victim to that all or nothing mindset, right? Because it's like everything has to line up, or then it's nothing. And when we start to when we bring our stuff back to those realistic place, we start thinking of it in the day by day, week by week. I plan it by the week. I look at my week and I say, okay, what's going on? I'm of that age that it's rare that I have something that pops up last minute. It's rare. It happens, but it's rare. But I know that if I look at my calendar on a Sunday, I can put things in, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to hit. Right. But I have to look at it week by week. I don't sit on the beginning of the month and say, this is how it's going to map out, because I know like life's fluid, like stuff happens. So when things do happen, focus on breaking up with the judgment. I had a last minute appointment that came up, and I had to drive all the way to Rhode Island, which is about 2 hours from my house. And it all popped up on a Monday, and it happened on Wednesday. I'm like, okay, I have 48 hours to figure this out. And I had 48 hours to like reschedule clients, move around a couple classes, and boom, it happened. And I was supposed to work out that morning, and I was supposed to meet, do all these things. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to judge it. You know what? I need to do this. In order to move a particular project that I'm working on it forward, I gotta make this meeting. And so I just moved stuff around. I didn't judge. I didn't make it about anything that I missed that workout. It was like, okay, I'm not going to work out on Wednesday, but okay, I got Saturday open, so I'm going to move this workout till Saturday, right? So we all get caught up in our head that like, I'm going to lose my gains if I don't do it in a specific order. No, that's not how it works. Your body doesn't like turn on a light switch on and off and lose your gains. Another way to be consistent is to do your exercise at the same time, versus, here, there, and everywhere. And put it in your calendar, block it out like it's an appointment. If you make an appointment with your dentist, you put it in your calendar. Same thing with your workouts. And so for me, like I said, every Sunday I sit down and I'm like, okay, these are the days that I can work out. And that allows me for flexibility for traveling for those last minute meetings. And, I have that thought in my head, if I'm not able to go on Tuesday, then I'm going to go on Thursday. Right. So it's like, I've already built in those like pre-made decision loops in my head versus like, oh yeah, I'm going to work out 3 days this week. And then I don't put it in my calendar. I just say what I'm going to do. And, I'm big on writing things out. I'm big on putting the calendar. I'm like Ron Burgundy. All right. Did you ever see the movie Anchorman? In Anchorman, I will put a link in the show notes just in case you've never seen it. But in Anchorman, he basically, anytime he's a anchorman and he reads off of the teleprompter, and anything he sees on the teleprompter, he's going to say. That's me with my calendar. If it's in my calendar, it's like, okay, this is where I'm going. This is where I'm going to be. So if you ever want to mess with me, put it in my calendar and I'll show up at some random place because it's in my calendar. So with that said, the other piece is, can you work out first thing in the morning? So many studies show that for folks who work out in the AM, they have a higher adherence to workout. So what is adherence? Is fancy talk for they stay in the game longer and they go. And now I wasn't a morning workout when I first started. I worked out after work, but I always would find myself getting so frustrated because I didn't have a predictable job. I could predict when I showed up, but I couldn't predict when I was going to leave. So I started to, at the time, the trainer that I was working with, he said, well, why don't we work out in the morning? And I was like, what do you mean? Like the thought never, ever popped into my head. He's like, why don't you work out in the morning? I was like, oh, interesting. I never thought about it that way. And so he's like, it just requires you to have a bedtime. And that also was like a game changer for me because I never had a bedtime. How many of you just stay up until you like can't keep your eyes open watching some mind-numbing thing on TV, right? I wasn't staying up curing cancer. I wasn't staying up, solving world peace. I was just staying up till like 11 o'clock because I was an adult. It's a grown up. I didn't need no bedtime. Now I have a bedtime. And if I'm up past like 10:30, it is like a party for me. So if that doesn't work for you, I totally get it. Some people are like, oh no, I can't work out in the morning, or maybe your schedule just doesn't allow it. But put it in your calendar and have a plan. What is it that you're going to do? One of the ways for some of my clients who want to become morning workout folk, but they're like, oh, I don't know. I ask them, are they more motivated by pain or are they motivated by motivation? So one of my clients, she was motivated by pain. So she said if she missed her morning workouts, she would put $20 out on the street, right? Just $20 out in the street for some rando to find it. And another client was motivated by pleasure. And she said, I'm going to go to the gym 3 mornings a week. And for every week that I hit 3 mornings a week, I'm going to go and buy me a pair of pants at Lululemon. Right? So you decide what is your motivation to get there. Another way to feel motivated is that, they have a lot of these boutique classes, so they have the Orange Theories, the Soul Cycles. And if you miss class, you have to pay. There's a late fee or a late cancel, whatever you want to call it, if you don't cancel your class. So that could be an incentive to get you tush out of bed. The other piece about consistency is being mindful about what you're eating, right? Being focused on what foods work for me. No longer focus on the good food, bad food list, but it's good food for you, right? If the food causes you to feel any type of gastrointestinal issue, it ain't for you. That's a bad food. If a food makes you feel great, it's a good food. However, I'm never going to say go for what with candy and donuts and all that other stuff, right? But there's a place for it in moderation, right? It's not something that you're going to every day swing by, Mary's Donuts and grab a donut. But if you feel like, that is going to be your treat every Friday, you're going to go to Mary's Donuts and get whatever the hell Mary's Donuts makes, go for it. Or Friday is going to be a day that you're going to get a mocha from your favorite mocha place. Rock on with your bad self. I had a mocha the other day. I haven't had one in years. I used to live off of them. And it was fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Back to you. Breakfast. All right. Breakfast, meal one, whatever you want to call it. Make that a meal that is satisfying and satiating. And so what that will include is make sure it has some protein in it. I know many people are still stuck in this, like, I had toast with peanut butter on it. I don't know who needs to hear this, but peanut butter ain't protein. As much as it says on the front of the label, it ain't protein. It is a good fat. Sorry if I bursted your bubble. And also there's no Santa. Make it so it's substance, right? It gives you fullness for anywhere from about 2 to 3 hours. If my breakfast doesn't do that, I'm going to have to look at the portion size of my breakfast. Does it include proteins? Is it very fast-acting carbohydrates? So take a look at that. And if you want to have a deeper dive, you always know where to find me. We can talk a little bit more about that. It takes time, right? The biggest thing that everyone falls down is that they think that, you're Amazon Prime. I ordered it on Sunday and it better arrive on Friday. Well, that's not how it works, right? So I want you to think that it takes time. And one of the things I talk about in my Fit Girl Magic Society is Lifestyle 66. And Lifestyle 66 is you picking 1 to 3 things that you are going to commit to for 66 days. And I think I've talked about this numerous times, but just in case for the first time, Jerry Seinfeld, when he first started doing stand-up, he said, a good comic has his own jokes, right? I got to stand up there for, 30 minutes and just tell jokes. So he said, every day for 30 days, I'm going to write a joke. And so, and he would cross it out physically on a paper calendar. They now have plenty of apps that you can use to do this if you are an app person. I'm a paper person. I really like to see the big X in front of me. So anyway, this is Lifestyle 66 so that I can see my streak, right? And if you get on a roll, you're like, I don't want to break my streak. I don't want to break my streak. So for 66 days, you start working towards habits to make them automatic so that you're not thinking about it anymore. It's just, this is what you do. Think about coffee. For those of you guys who drink coffee, do you even think about, do you put the coffee in before the cream? Yeah, that too. Do you put the coffee in first, the cream in first, the sugar in first, sugar, cream, coffee, sugar, cream, coffee, cream, sugar? Do you even think about that? Do you even know? You're just like, oh, all of a sudden I got a cup of coffee and I'm drinking it. Right? Because it's become such a habit that it's pushed into our subconscious brain. And our subconscious brain is like, oh, it's morning. We're going to have coffee right now. I don't have to think about it. I'm just going to walk my tush over to the coffee maker. So here's where, it's about experimentation. What is going to feel good for you? What is going to eventually feel effortless? Because if everything feels like a struggle, and in the beginning, I will be 100% honest with you that it's going to feel a little challenging in the beginning, right? You're going to feel like, you ever see those like Nature Channel shows, and there's like a giraffe or like a horse trying to like stand up for the first time, and they're just like all like legs and body, and they just are the most awkward thing in the world. That's what this is going to feel like, and embrace that. Everybody felt this way in the beginning. Everyone, whenever they take on anything new, feels like, oh, I'm all out of sorts, and that's okay. It's okay to be a beginner and tell yourself, you know what? You don't know when, and I can't tell you when, but someday, all of a sudden, whatever you're trying to do will become like that cup of coffee in the morning, that you won't think about, having a salad for lunch. You won't think about setting your alarm to go to the gym in the morning. You won't think about that. It's just like, all right, my bedtime's 10 o'clock. You got to go. Like, I got to get myself to bed. It's just what you'll do. And as we do this, we want to always make sure we're respecting our bodies. I know for years, I beat my body into submission. It was like, you do not deserve a rest. Even when I was like coming home and I was like icing body parts, I was like, I'll just ice it. It'll be ready to go. It'll be ready to rock and roll tomorrow. No, I needed to listen to my body. And on a past podcast, I was talking to a girl who talks about overtraining. And she said, if you can't hear your body whisper, how are you going to hear it scream? And that sentence has stuck with me for over a year, because my body was whispering for a long time. And I was like, you don't know. My ego was telling my body to just shut up. It didn't know what it was talking about. So when you think about that, are you beating your body into submission? The other thing that can help you with consistency is water. And water, for many people, confuse it with hunger. So you could be thirsty, but you really need to have more water into your system. So one of the tricks that I have been focusing on getting water into my system, and what I've been sharing with my clients, is put a 16-ounce glass of water by your bed. And as soon as you get up in the morning, start drinking, right? You're getting dressed for work, start drinking that water. Have at least 8 ounces of water before you take that first sip of coffee or tea, whatever it is that you drink in the morning. Have that first, at least 8 ounces of water. Then finish the second 8 ounces of water before you go for that second cup or whatever you do next. Because then I got 16 ounces in me, boom. And then before lunch, have another 16 ounces. After lunch, aim to have 2 more 16 ounces. And there we are, right there. There's our water. And so if we, already map out that we have, 16 ounces are easy. 4 times is 64 ounces. So it's really easy for us to like get into a rhythm of that. And if you're like, I don't like the taste of water, put fruit in it. start with by putting like a very diluted Crystal Light. Like you don't want to put that. I haven't had Crystal Light in years, but when I did have it, it was like super sonically sweet, and I always felt like I needed to put like even like a half a packet or a quarter packet in to fill up my water bottle. Here's where we want to pick easy stuff. Like what's going to feel easy. Hard and struggling. Let's just break up with that. I know the diet industry tells us that, it has to be hard. You have to struggle. If it feels effortless, then you're doing it wrong. But that's not the case. That's how it's going to be consistent. If you just wake up and you feel like you're going to do it. And you're like, even if I guess the best way I want to describe it is, I want you to scale it back. Think about 1 to 3 things that you can work on and make up small things, because we think about these like big, huge things. So let's just say the best way I can describe it is like, say you're in your backyard, say you have a huge backyard and you're like, I'm going to do some gardening today. And I have a huge, beautiful garden. And you're like, today I'm going to mow the lawn. I'm going to prune the roses, going to prune whatever plants need pruning. I'm going to mulch and I'm going to put down some loam. And that's a big project. For those of you guys who don't garden, that's a lot. That's a lot of work if you have a big garden. So instead, what if I just said to myself, you know what, today I'm only going to set aside this quarter of the garden and I'm just going to loam and mulch. Or this side of the garden, I'm just going to prune all the things that need pruning. And then tomorrow, I'm going to do this. The next thing I'm going to do this. And so I break down the project into smaller bite-sized chunks versus like, I'm going to do it all and then feel like a failure if every time it comes to gardening, I can't keep up that pace. But I know that if I break it down into smaller pieces, I know I can easily keep up that pace. So that's where consistency comes. It's like, what can I do on a consistent basis that I don't ever feel like I need to take a break from? Because when my clients tell me, Kim, sometimes I feel like I just have to take a break. You're dieting. You are dieting, right? That's what it is. When you need to take a break, you are dieting. So where we want to land is a place that just feels like this is just what I do. This is just not my life. And you don't feel like you have to give up something to gain. You can, as I mentioned, all things fit in moderation. So we have to play with experiments. Some people can get away with more fun foods than others. Some people can get away with having a glass of wine every night, and some people can't. And those people who can't get away with a glass of wine every night, we still love you. You unicorns, we still love you. But yeah, we have to think about, right? Those are there are certain people who will just walk past a weight rack and they put on muscle. Other of us just walk past an IHOP and we got 3 pounds on our ass. It just all depends on where you are. So as I wrap this up and, wind this down, the last section here is just 4 pieces to really get my mindset clicking into that consistency place, breaking me away from the perfection, the all or nothing, the struggle is, what are the stories I'm telling myself? Do I tell myself that it has to be hard? Do I tell myself that there's a laundry list of things that I must do day in and day out? Do I tell myself that I need to work out a certain amount of time for it to count? Do I tell myself that I can't eat after 6 p.m.? Do I tell myself that I have to intermittent fast and I have to struggle till noon to have my first meal? Do I tell myself, what are the stories I tell myself how it has to be? Because that keeps so many people behind this barrier that it's freeing if you kind of start to say to yourself, okay, what is the truth and what is absolute utter BS? And that's one of the things I really work with my clients to just be like, how do we break free of the BS stories that we tell ourselves or we've heard, right? You've all heard the bull questions. I was trying to keep it family, so fill in the blank. We've all heard those. And maybe you're like, I don't know. What is BS? I don't know. What is malarkey? feel free to ask me if you think something's malarkey, feel free to ask me and I will explain it to you if it's malarkey or if it's like, oh yeah, that's the gospel. What do you value? It's like, where are your values? Do you value your health more than staying up and watching some mindless movie or binge watching whatever, instead of going to bed? Do you value working hard and hustling more than you value taking 30 minutes to get in a quick workout? Do you value, going out and having drinks with your friends more than you value waking up in the morning and going to the gym? Like, where do your values lie? And if you tell yourself you want to get healthy, here's where I'm going to ask you, check yourself or you wreck yourself. Because friendships and being healthy can coexist, but you have to find that tipping point so that it's not like, I had 3 margaritas last night. Oh, hell no, I ain't going to the gym, right? Where do you find that before you go in, that plan? I'm going to have 1 margarita. I'm going to have a fajita. And then I'm out, or I'm just going to sit there and have water. Or maybe you say, you know what? I'm not going to even have any drinks. I'm just going to go enjoy the company and have food, right? We can. I know this might sound shocking, but it's okay for you to go out and not have drinks with your friends. You could go there and just be there for the social. Just be there to be like, hey, what's going on with you? How's it going? How's work? How are the kids? How's your partner? Right? Those things are possible. The last thing is, do you believe that you can change? We have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. And believe it or not, 95% of our thoughts come from our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind doesn't do any thinking. It's what tells our heart to beat, tells us to breathe in and out. It's where we store, like phone numbers, or song lyrics from 1985 that you could just start singing without even knowing why you went into the kitchen 20 minutes ago, right? That's where our subconscious mind comes. And then we have our conscious mind, and that's our thoughts. And for the majority of us, our subconscious mind is running the show. Our conscious mind just keeps most awareness, but it's in our subconscious mind where we store those stories, where we store all of the things we've done in the past that might start to, say, shh, you don't want to do that. You might hurt yourself, or shh, how it turned out the last time. Those are where a lot of those thoughts come up and kind of poke at us to keep us safe. But here's how you can talk to that subconscious mind so that we can start to reprogram some of this. So we can start to get through the quicksand of consistency, is that our brains don't know the difference between real and imaginary. So here's where we start to think about what life would be like if I had this consistency. I had the healthy lifestyle that I would want. And what would that person look like if they were consistent with their weight loss? And, here's where I'm a big journaler. So here's where you journal. You're like, all right, a person who's consistent with their weight loss, they always go to the grocery store every week. Or if they can't go to the grocery store, they make a plan to have a grocery delivered. Or they freeze foods. They can easily defrost. They go for walks after dinner with their family, or they go for morning walks. They invite coworkers to go out for walks at lunchtime. They go to the gym or grab some weights at Target, and they able to do stuff at home, right? Those are the types of things that you start to repeat and you say to yourself. And, if that seems like hokey for you, then it's like, instead of saying, that's what I do, just say, this is what healthy and fit people do, and I'm aspiring to get there, right? So I want you to start to think, write it in a way that you believe, not in a way that you're like, I need to say it just like this. No, you have to believe it, because if your conscious brain is like, oh, hell no, this ain't happening. Guess what? Oh, hell no, it ain't happening. Then it just comes down to you repeating it, right? We learn by repetition. Just remember in all of school was repetition, right? The teacher said something, you had to write a paper on it, you had to take a test on it, and that was our way of, banging it into our brain. So the first few days, you're going to feel very awkward, right? You're going to feel like, we talked about that giraffes or that horse trying to stand up for the first time, but that's okay. And then one day, and I wish I could tell you what that one day is going to be, it's just going to feel like, easy. I was at work, the other day. I teach at a gym, and I was at a gym, and a new member came in, and she's like, I just really want to get that runner's high. I've never experienced it. People have talked about it. I really want to get that runner's high. And I said, all right. So she took class. I reconnected with her after class, and I said, did you get that runner's high? And she said, I think I did. I really think that I got it. And she's like, how long do you think it would take me to get into a groove? And I said, you know what? I really wish I could answer that for you. Everyone's different. And I said, for most people, I recommend coming to the gym, 2 to 3 days a week and see how you feel. And then eventually one day you're going to be like, this feels really easy. And then we can start to add on. Because if I told her, girl, you need to be here 7 days a week, that's the only way you're going to get your gains, I would have scared her away. So let's scale it back and say, if I work out 2 to 3 days a week and I can consistently do that versus telling myself I'm going to work out 5, 6, 7 days a week, and I consistently don't do it, what's going to make me feel more motivated? The 3 days or the missed days, right? I want you to feel motivated, because motivation has to come internally, regularly, because I work out in the morning. So at 5 a.m., when that alarm goes off, and it is February, it is cold, snowing perhaps, I need to be motivated. I need for me to be like, okay, I know it's 5 a.m. This sucks, but I'm getting out of bed because I want to fit into my pants. I want to stand in front of my clients and show that I walk the walk. So think about it in terms of that. And lastly is our habits. We don't get what we want, we get our habits. So if I'm continually making excuses, I'm going to continually get my excuses. And I know that might sound a little harsh, but sometimes I need the tough love, right? Sometimes instead of just saying these flowery things, I need to sometimes just punch you in the face so you can be like, oh, yeah, you're so right, Kim. It's never made to make you feel bad. It's just so that you can have that whoa, pause. And really let that sink in, because diets don't work. They leave us feeling like failures. As soon as life gets in the way, you're off. And when clients tell me they need to take a break from their diet, then you're dieting. You shouldn't. I work clients to find that place where they're effortless, find that place where it's they're forever fat loss. And so that you're never feeling like I need to diet. Maybe as we're getting closer to something that you want, you're getting ready for a wedding, we might make scale back your choices, but we're never going to be like, this is your diet. No, those days are over. It's not 2012 no more. All right. Check your calendar. We don't do that anymore. All habits help us with that consistency. And so I want you to think about review. Whatever you're doing right now, is it realistic? Are you excited about it? Can you make a plan for it in your life? Is it sustainable for you? And ask yourself the question, for the things that you are not doing, instead of focusing on your health, do you value your health? Do you value those things more than you value your health? And I ask that question so you can ask yourself that hard question. And then we have to ask ourselves, do you believe? Do you believe that you can lose the weight? Do you believe that you can lose the weight and keep it off? Do you believe that it can be easy? Do you believe that it can be effortless? Because I'm here to tell you it can be, right? It just comes down to creating these easy, effortless habits that are no longer set by someone else's standards. They're set by you and your standards and what is going to work best for you in your life, given it might be the season that you're in. It could be just how your life is. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, this episode has given you so much to think about, but I've also created a mini course called Forever fat loss. And it's for those of you guys who say, you know what, I'm going to start this diet on Monday and it's going to be the best thing ever, but you tend to fall off. And here is your stick to it forever healthy lifestyle. It is a 5-day course where I break down the fundamentals of weight loss. So if that's something that you want to know more about, do me a favor, hop over into the link in my bio and grab it. As always, you can find me on the socials. I am Kim Jefferson Coach on Instagram and Facebook. All right, ladies, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Fit Girl Magic podcast. If you've made it this far, yay. I'm thinking you enjoyed the show. Let's continue the conversation on Instagram. You can find me at Kim Jefferson Coach. In order for me to keep sharing this message, do me a favor and leave me a 5-star review on iTunes. While you're there, don't forget to subscribe so that you won't miss an episode. New episodes are available every Wednesday. The Fit Girl Magic podcast is intended to provide you with tips, tools, and strategies that will help you make better decisions about your health. I really appreciate your feedback and your support. Thank you so much.